With the clock expiring on Super Bowl 55, at first glance, it may not look like it was a great game. The score sits at a dominant 31-9. The Chiefs' offense was getting trounced all night, and the Buccaneers cut through a Steve Spagnuolo defense like it was warm butter. There was the looming asterisk over the whole thing that it was taking place during the COVID year, but looking back, I think it's not only one of the most impressive Super Bowls we've seen, but easily, by and large, the most underrated one. But do you want to know what's even more underrated? Keeping yourself safe online. Think about the number of spam calls or spam texts you get. I don't know about you, but me personally, if I get something from a number I don't recognize, I automatically assume it's a scam, and I'm probably right more times than not. Or what about a time you've been waiting for a call from an important person and you pick it up and just get duped that's a scam? How does that make you feel? Me? I don't like it. It doesn't make me feel too good. Well, thanks to today's sponsor, Aura, that reality can be a thing of the past, okay? Aura is going to go out there and cleanse your name from all the data brokers that have your personal information, as well as the people search sites that can sell your identity to scammers and more. They also provide identity theft protection, financial fraud protection, VPNs, antiviruses, a password manager. Heck, the only thing they're not going to do is go into your house and download it for you. So make sure you and your family are protected from these online threats. And guess what? You got a free 2-week trial if you go to aura.com/Isaac Punts, which is enough time to go ahead and see if any of your data is already exposed. It's a no-brainer. Go down below, it's down there, click the link, and start your free trial. Thank me later, and thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. Now, to give you some context as to why this game is so great, I guess I have to introduce these year's teams, and although right now, in the year of our Lord 2025, people load this team, let me take you back to the 2020 Chiefs. At this point, the Chiefs were a rising star in the NFL. They had been solid the past 7 years with winning records, but had only made it to the conference championship once, where they got knocked out by a Tom Brady-led New England Patriots team in 2018, where ironically, everyone in America was rooting for the Chiefs to win, in stark contrast to how they're viewed today. But the following year, they would go all the way as this 2019 team led by a young, spry Patrick Mahomes, the lovable, rowdy tight end Travis Kelce, who, if you ever asked who he was dating, people would have no idea and would wonder why anyone would even care who it was. They also had Tyreek Hill, who was coming in as one of the most threatening offensive weapons the league had seen in a long time. But all in all, the conversation heading into 2020 was that this was a likable winning team. I remember people saying, I actually enjoy cheering for the Chiefs, unlike those stinking Patriots. I know, for those who've been watching for the last 4 years, you might be blown away by this fact, but at the start of the 2020 season, that's what they were. They were this lovable, defending Super Bowl champ with a high-flying offense, good enough defense, and the general vibe that they were beatable, but you know what? They were going to find ways to win games through offensive trickery and Patrick Mahomes' playmaking ability. And moving into that season, the landscape of the NFL was about to take a strange and temporary turn. March of that year, right as the previous season ended, a virus swept through the nation known as COVID-19. The draft became a nightmare as private workouts and combines were extremely limited. The NFL teams played in front of completely empty stands. You'd cut to coaches on the sideline outside in fresh air with a mask on their face. It was truly strange times. But who was likely to thrive in these circumstances but the Chiefs? Opposing teams would be scrambling due to lack of play and preparation, or defenses missing key players thanks to someone in their zip code having COVID, forcing them to sit out for a couple of weeks. So Mahomes and crew, as long as they could stay healthy, would just slice and dice their way through the regular season. On top of that, this Chiefs core had been playing together for a couple years now, so the extra preparation time it would usually take for an offense to get into rhythm was negligible for them this offseason, as they'd cruised through their bye week sitting at 8-1 and finished the second half of their season undefeated, aside from resting their starters in the final week of the playoffs as the number 1 seed. Does this sound a little too familiar? Now, on the flip side of the bracket, there was something very different going on with the Buccaneers, but that requires even more context. So let me take you to the last intersection of these two stories, the 2018 Conference Championship, the time the Kansas City Chiefs were getting cheered for by the entire country, against the New England Patriots led by Tom Brady. Now, for those who needed a brief history lesson on Tom and the Patriots, let me quickly fill you in. By 2018, we were in the twilight years of one of the longest and most dominant franchises the NFL has ever seen. Since Tom Brady's underdog start in 2001, where the rookie quarterback filling in for the great Drew Bledsoe took his team to the Super Bowl and won it, they had become the terrorizers of the NFL. They won back-to-back Super Bowls 2 years after that, appeared twice more in the following 7 years where they'd get knocked off by the Giants, both times ironically, but with that 2007 team being considered one of the greatest NFL teams to ever grace the field, finishing their regular season a miraculous 16-0, and not only that, it just never felt like their Super Bowl window was closing, as they'd find ways to win no matter what and constantly fill in the holes of players that left with better pieces. Does it sound familiar? Yeah, kind of sounds like the modern day Chiefs, but let's stay on topic. So despite going on a 9-year Super Bowl drought since 2004, they still showed up in the conference championship 3 times in the Super Bowl twice, so it never really felt like they were out of it. And then in 2014, they were right back on top, winning it all that year, losing in the conference championship in 15, getting right back to the Super Bowl in 16 before losing the Super Bowl in 17 in one of the most fun to watch Super Bowls of all time to the Eagles, but then were looking to make a run in 18 when they would knock off the Chiefs despite the wishes of everyone in America, because if you think the Chiefs the last 6 years have been frustrating, just imagine that type of thing going on for another 12 years, and that's how NFL fans felt about the Patriots. But of course, the Pats go on to win 6 in 18 years, but finally people felt like their time was up. Brady could not keep up at this pace, right? And Belichick was often to be said that he was starting to get behind the times. That's, of course, when they weren't winning Super Bowls. So in 2019, the Patriots went to a wild card round, lost, and Brady announced that he was leaving the Patriots. This was a bittersweet moment. Yes, he was the boogeyman of the NFL for a long time, with his absolute dominance of the quarterback position and seemingly way to find ways to win, dubious or not. But at last, it was truly over. Until it wasn't. As quick as the TikTok ban happened, Brady announced his new team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This, to put it frankly, broke the NFL in half. There were so many talking points. It was really time to figure out, was it Brady or Belichick that was driving the Patriots' winning streak? Could Brady really make an impact on the new team with his old age? Was this just a publicity stunt? On top of that, he's heading to the Bucs, a team who in the last 15 years had more bottom of their conference rankings than playoff berths, as they were the NFC South bottom feeders and came last in that division 9 of the last 15 years. Heck, even with new head coach Bruce Arians, what could Tom truly do? And to make matters worse, they were trying to suddenly build a team around him. Sure, they already had Mike Evans and Godwin, but they'd also bring in Gronk and Fournette to try to round out this offense. And could that really be enough, especially when the NFL was banning the preseason play, meaning that it would take longer for these guys to build chemistry? This had every making of being a disaster. At least it would be, without the guidance of 6-time Super Bowl winning quarterback Tom Brady. And the part of Tom Brady's legacy that's the least talked about was his ability to glue a team together. The calm they needed when things were down and the fiery drive they needed to get it back going again. So with this newfound burst of life, they started okay. They came out 6-2, which is alright, but then got absolutely dismantled by the Saints, smacked back by the Rams, and even the Chiefs beat them with a clutch third down conversion to quell a Tom Brady comeback attempt. But the underdog role is where Brady shines the most. They came out of their bye week 7-5 to win the last 4, which was good enough to get them into the wild card round. And from here, these two teams were on a crash course of destiny towards each other. While the Chiefs sat on their bye week throne, the Buccaneers went to work as they rolled past the Washington football team, which, yeah, they were known as that for a brief period of time, making this even more weird. But they'd put up 507 yards of offense, with Brady throwing for 365 of those. From there, they would re-face off against the Saints, who completely dominated them in the regular season, as they would lose by 35 points in their last meeting. But they were a different team since that bye week. After going down 6-0, they were able to claw their way back to a 13-all ball game by halftime and win a game of absolute attrition, with Breeze throwing it away twice in the second half to ensure that the Buccaneers would hold on to their 10-point lead until the end of the game. From there, they beat the Aaron Rodgers-led Packers, who were admittedly known for choking away championship games, which would happen as they chose to kick a field goal on the 8-yard line down 8 with 2 minutes left in the game and never touch the ball again. On the other side, the Chiefs kept up with their hot streak, beating the Browns, but at no small cost, as Patrick Mahomes would go down while attempting to scramble for a first down, leaving Chad Henne to finish the game. But here, many would begin, even if it was just for a brief moment, to fall in love with Patrick, because the next game, he would be back out on the field despite an obvious limp, but would lead the Chiefs to a commanding victory over the Bills. And wait, beating the Bills in the postseason, is this going to be a theme for the Chiefs moving forward? Anyway, that's aside the point. They get up 38-15 midway through the fourth, so despite a successful onside recovery by the Bills, the game would end 38-24, meaning that for the first time, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady would meet in a Super Bowl. But it wasn't a fireworks show. In fact, it was the opposite. It was complete domination. The Tampa Bay defense, known for being pretty solid, completely came alive, swarming Patrick Mahomes and his injured offensive line all game. And Pat was making play after play, trying to keep them in this game, with a marquee moment that really defines the whole game, coming down to Mahomes scrambling. Can't find anybody, scrambles some more, makes a gorgeous diving throw. It's right into his receiver's hands, and then right back out again. Meanwhile, Brady just pieced apart the Chiefs' defense like he did oh so well. Hardly any highlight throws, but his checks at the line of scrimmage, his quick, decisive decision-making ability, and getting the ball where it needed to be on time was just a masterclass of how to win the game, and by the end, it was a final score of 31-9. In the moment, it felt a little groan-inducing, right? Brady did it once again, Mahomes didn't have any help, but I think with the 5 years of hindsight, we can truly see this game for what it was. The true passing of the torch. The next 2 years, Brady's flame would truly sputter out. In 2022, they would slide into the playoffs with a losing record and be one and dones before Brady retired for his final time, while the Chiefs from this point completely turned the corner and were looking as dominant as the Patriots in the first half of their dynasty, as they've won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls. And since this game, while Patrick Mahomes was still making plays, you could tell his playstyle matured incredibly to revolve more around making fewer mistakes and angle shooting the rule book, as opposed to the flashy playstyle he had in the first half of his career. Heck, the past 2 years, you could even argue that the Chiefs' offense isn't even particularly that good, and that their defense has been carrying them more so, meaning that in the 4 years since they've played, Mahomes is already getting the same talking head treatment that Brady got in the last half of his career, and has as many people rooting against him as there were rooting against the 2018 Patriots. So all in all, we may have forgotten or just chose not to think about the 2020 Super Bowl, but I think in time, it will be remembered as one of the ultimate torch passings, the equivalent of Michael Jordan getting to play against LeBron in one last championship game to show that he still had it before LeBron embraced parts of Michael Jordan's play style that maybe he was missing to become a face of this league and as dominant as he has been. And I think that is truly special.
When the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady.